Only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on attracting new customers. We're very excited to be bringing you this webinar on behalf of the Queensland Government as part of Small Business Week. If any of you are on Twitter, we would love you to tweet that you're online and enjoying the session today, either now or during the session, or even at the end to tell us what you think. If you are on Twitter and you would like to tweet the Queensland Government's department that is delivering this webinar, it is at businessqld.gov, as you can see there on the screen, and the hashtag you can use is hashtag SmallBizWeek, and we would love you to do that. A quick introduction to me. My name's Yvette Adams. I'll be your presenter today. Also online we have Anthony Viner from the Creative Collective office. Anthony will be our facilitator, and if you have any technical questions, feel free to privately text chat him and he'll do his best to assist you. I'll let you know how to do that in just a moment in case this is the first time you've been on a webinar or using this particular webinar technology. Bit of background on me. I've been in business since I was 17. I've now started 5 businesses. I've sold 2 of them. These days, the main focuses are the Creative Collective. We're a creative services agency based on the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. We basically make websites. We do marketing, graphic design, SEO, pay-per-click, lots of social media. So we do a lot of attracting new customers for our clients and also for ourselves. I also have a relatively new online startup called awardshub.com, and with the Creative Collective we work with clients from startups who really need customers. I mean, they start with 0, right through to those who have customers but maybe want more or maybe want different ones. I am a mum of 2 kids. I like mentioning that, so I do know what the juggle of being a business owner is like around being a parent too. My whole background though is in marketing, PR and media, so this is a topic that I'm very, very familiar with today. It scares me to say I've been in this game for almost 20 years, either attracting business to the companies I've been working for or to helping other businesses achieve that. Anthony's looking at me funny going, really, 20 years? Yep, I went into the workforce at 16, 17, Anthony, and you do the maths, it's true. He's shaking his head, he can't believe it back here. Okay, so this is what we've got in store for you today. We're going to look at ways to grow your customer base. We're going to look at how to improve your customer service strategies, converting your prospects to sales, and putting ideas into action. It's our experience that a lot of people have no shortage of ideas, that they, ways they could market, ways they could get business, but they don't always get them off the ground because they perhaps lack confidence or the know-how to get them into place. So hopefully we can help you with that. I'll also share throughout the presentation tips and experiences of attracting new customers to my business and helping others to do that. We will encourage you to do text chat, which will show you how in a moment, but we will mainly leave the questions to the end. I'm more than happy if you have a mic set up to unmute you and we can have a little chat and you can ask me anything you want related to this topic. So moving on, this is the system you're using, GoToWebinar. You should all have a kind of window that looks like this. If you click on the red arrow, it will expand and you'll suddenly get some options. Down here in the bit that's got a blue square around it, you can actually text chat us and say g'day, or that's a great idea, or I already do this for my business, whatever you want to say to interact. So right now I would love it if you could type me something. Say hello, give me a smiley face, tell me how your day's going, what you're going to do this weekend, whatever you feel like saying, just so I know you're there and you've worked out how to use that part. Wow, you guys are fast typers. Hi and happy Friday, says Shauna. Hi and happy Friday to you. Awesome. Okay, now over to the left here with the red circle, that's a raise your hands function. So from time to time in the presentation, I'm going to say, is that the case for you? Put up your hand if it is. Have you ever tried this? If it's yes, put up your hand. So I'd like you to all say, if you're going to be drinking wine or beer later this afternoon, put up your hand. I'd say there'd be a few of you, wouldn't there? It's Friday after all. There we go. Bunches of people who are saying, thank God it's Friday, and rewarding themselves with a little drink afterwards. Fantastic. So you can put your hand up and you can put it down afterwards, and that's how you can indicate to me at the end that you would like to ask me a question. So are we all set? I think we can get on and go ahead with learning some stuff about attracting customers to our business. So a lot of people think it's rocket science, you know, how do I get new customers? But there's actually a few really simple things that totally grow your customer base. There's 6 key factors that must be understood and managed in order for any business to basically get sales. But the ones that are in the dark blue there are the ones that really attract business and then really increase, I guess, how well you're doing. Excuse me. And as you can see on screen there, just minor improvements can actually mean major results. So it's worth investing a bit of time in this. We go through them really quickly. Basically, we all need potential customers, and it's our conversion rate that will result in new customers if that is what you want. And then once you have a customer base, it's about getting them spending more frequently, spending more, or increasing the price to really make your profit margins look better. Some businesses I meet really struggle with that, and they say, oh, I don't want to rip people off, or I don't want to charge too much, and all this kind of thing. But the fact is, you know, if they're not spending money with you, they're going to spend it with somebody else. And often they do want your service, but you've got to reach out and let them know that you're there because you mentioned it once and they were really keen, but then they never heard from you, so they kind of forgot you were there. So marketing is a kind of persistent and repetitive thing, and you can't ever sort of think that you're done. So to take a bit out of that diagram we've just looked at, the attracting your business really comes down, and the growing your customer base, to these 3 simple things. Number 1, get more prospects. Number 2, increase your conversion rate. So of all of those that inquire or give you their details or ask for a quote or an estimate or are interested in your product, if you can convert more of them, then obviously that equals new customers. So in my team, for instance, I really empower them to understand those 3 key metrics. So every team meeting, which we have about every 2 weeks, they have to report on the number of prospects they've had via phone, email, and online forms, how many estimates they've raised, and how many have converted into clients, therefore what's their conversion rate. So as an example, our services division currently has a conversion rate of about 60%, which is pretty exceptional. I mean, every industry is actually going to be very different. It depends what you're selling, how competitive it is, how new in the market you are, you know, how much goodwill there is towards your brand, and bunches of other stuff. But I guess the key is to know what these figures are. I'll often ask businesses, you know, how many prospects do you have? And they'll go, oh, I don't know, a few. Well, a few is a bit vague. I actually need to know exactly how many phone calls did you have last week. You need to log those. Exactly how many email inquiries from prospective clients did you have? Exactly how many online inquiries did you have? So depending on what you do, either you or you may delegate it, should be tallying those up weekly and monthly, and then analysing these conversion rates, because it will help you over time understand when your peaks and troughs of demand are. You know, did one of your marketing strategies result in all this inquiry? Well, great, do that strategy again. Does it go really quiet over Christmas? I know it does for us. So we now know that it's going to be quiet. So do all our planning stuff and our housekeeping at that time of year and make hay while the sun shines in the other parts of the year. Makes a lot of sense, right? So moving on to another diagram, we find these visual ways are good ways to communicate. This is sort of a customer life cycle, and if you can understand this principle, and again, this is a great one to share with your staff, which I have done. First up, we need prospects. We need people who are interested in our products or services, but who have actually never spent a dime with us, okay? Finally, they become a shopper. They become a little bit more interested in our business. And finally, after that, they're a customer. They've bought from us at least once. That's where the dollars start happening. Now, a one-off customer is good, but turning them into the next thing, a client where they're regularly spending with you, is of course even better. And if you give them a good enough customer experience, they're going to actually turn into an advocate, where they'll gladly go and tell other people about your products and services and why you're so great to deal with. So that's fantastic. You've pretty much mobilized a sales team just by doing a good job. And then the final part of the puzzle is where people actually love you so much they might talk about partnerships, like, I would like to be in business with you. I would like to get a percentage of sales for the sales that I make for you, and I'll actively go out and make them. So, you know, we've just come back from doing some events And we've got what we call digital champions, people who have done our programs and love what we do in different regions around Australia. And I've come back just this morning to my colleague and said, we need to find ways to reward these guys and incentivize them and get more of them going, kind of an ambassador program. So that's something we're workshopping and looking into at the moment. So I'd like you to all think, where do most of your customers sit? You know, have you got lots of prospects but they're not turning into shoppers? You've got lots of customers but they're not really repeat ones, clients. I know depending on the nature of the business, some of you just can't. For instance, if you sell wedding dresses, you've probably got a lot of customers and not a lot of clients. You wouldn't like to think people are getting married a few times over. That wouldn't happen so often, I hope. But you know, what can you do to turn customers to clients and clients to advocates? Because if you can get that stuff right, you can really, business can boom. So what would other customers say about your business to others? I'd love you to text chat me in. If I was to ask you this question, what would people say? How do you think people would describe your business at the moment? Tell me, would they be talking about your products or your service? Would they be saying good things or bad things, ecstatic things? Text chat me in. What would your customers say about your business to others? A bit quiet on this front. Lynn says delicious, so I'm wondering if Lynn does something to do with food. Quite possibly. Oh, here we go. You've all been busy typing. Professional and personalised, says Sasha. Very creative, different to anyone in town. Offer all services in one, says Jade. That's great. Consistent and honest. Honesty is a great one. We'd be talking about our products, in particular quality. Great products at work. Good workmanship. They feel absolutely wonderful and can feel the difference after a class. A new service, reliable, fast turnaround. Hopefully they'd be saying great service. So if you've got any doubt there at all, you need to look into this. Good feedback, clients saying small group, and so on. So that's great. That means you guys understand your clients. But I guess you've got to think, if they're saying that, that's good, but how could I be making them say even better stuff? Or maybe something that they're saying stuff, but you actually want to be known as something else. Does that make sense? Maybe they're saying that you offer a great product, but you actually want them to be telling people you are the best burger in town out of any possible burger, like really turning into one of those advocates like I was mentioning. So in terms of actually getting prospects to happen in the first place, you've actually got to have some kind of sales funnel. So when it comes to a sales funnel, it starts with a target market, identifying who has a need for your product or service. Now, time and time again, I meet businesses and I'll say, who's your target market? And they will say, oh, everyone. Everyone needs my food or likes my burgers, for instance. I'll go back to the burgers again. And I'll say, well, I'm sure they do, but who really, really likes your burgers? Who's your ideal customer? You know, is it a young guy who eats burgers every single week? Because maybe he's a better burger or customer than, say, a family who only comes in once a month for their, you know, monthly meal out or something like that. So you can really start defining that, like what sort of guy is that? If it's a guy, are they at uni? Do they live at home? Are they short on cash? Do they like big food? They probably do, rather than small fancy burgers. They might not like lots of things in there. They might not like all the salad. They just might want more meat. And you can really start drilling down to what it is exactly they want and targeting stuff in that way. The next thing is the reach. So you've got to reach your prospective customers by selecting appropriate marketing activities. So let's say on that whole burger scenario with the guy, where do those people hang out? You know, could you put signs up at the TAFE and the uni if that's where they hang out? Do they play sport on the weekend? Could you do some promotions at the rugby park perhaps they play at? Or are they more into gaming and they stay at home and you could reach them through YouTube channels and things like that? So again, different target markets hang out in different places. They have different problems. They live in different ways. You've really got to get inside their head or put yourself in their shoes. After you've reached out to them, you should be starting to generate potential leads and inquiries, and that's when the conversion thing kicks in. Of those that show an interest, because you have marketed them, you have reached them, and you've got your defined target market, you need to turn them into sales and then start increasing the sales through frequency and size and order volume. So moving on from that concept, Did you know, some of you who were on our webinar the other day, that 20% of your customer purchases will provide 80% of your business? So to maximize profit, you need to grow your profitable lines and customers. So let's say that a certain burger that that particular person buys makes a certain amount of money, but actually where you really make money is on coffee, which is often the case when it comes to the hospitality industry. You need to work out ways that you can get more of the coffee drinkers, because you might work out only 20% of people buy coffee, but they're actually providing 80% of your main revenue. So it can be a good idea, as we discussed the other day, a concept is to classify your customers, go through your list. It's a bit of a process, but really well worth doing, into awesome. So for me, awesome customers are people that we love dealing with. They're really nice people. They really appreciate our business. They spend a lot. They're happily spending it, and they spend frequently as well. They're awesome customers for us. Our B customers would be someone who spends something, but there might be the odd problem or the odd whinge, or they're just not our favourites kind of thing. They don't spend as much or as frequently as the awesome ones either, probably. And then down to C, which is casual. Maybe they've only ever bought from you once, but sometimes they can be the biggest whingers, the biggest time consumers, and they are actually taking up a lot of your time. So you need to sometimes find a way to turn the C's, the casuals, into the cold clients, actually finding a way not to do business with them anymore. So yeah, it's a tough decision to make. It's hard to sometimes make that transition, but you can increase the price on them. You can tell them you're not servicing clients like that anymore and provide them with alternatives. There's a number of ways to go through those processes, and for us as a company, we kind of go through this process every year. I get the whole team involved, we classify them, and you know, sometimes who I think is an A, the team will actually say no, they're a B. They don't actually spend as often as you think anymore, Yvette. Perhaps they used to. So who has done this before, this scenario, and who thinks it could be a good idea to go through and grade their customers effectively and work out some strategies to just work with the ones that really give them the most money? Who, raise your hand or text chat in if you think that would be a good idea. Jade says they've been talking about it a lot but haven't done it. Really powerful exercise, hey. Shauna says too new at the moment but will in the future. So isn't that good, doing these webinars and knowing these strategies for when you get a bit further down the line? Good idea. We've done this informally, says Lani. So, you know, formally actually going through the processes of removing some of them. I often raise the price on time-wasting customers, says Neil. Isn't that funny? You know, one of our staff members says, if you want to be a painful client, you get a painful price, which is a good way of thinking about it too. For the ones who just don't appreciate you and whinge and are difficult to work with. All right, moving on to defining your target market. So geography, you can really hone this down. If we go back to the burger scenario, we go back to the guys, we've talked a bit about what types of people they might be. Where are they actually based? You know, do they tend to live at home in certain suburbs? Do they tend to live in apartments at the beach? Where are they? Do they tend to live in dorm rooms at the uni? So define that in terms of your customer base. Socioeconomic, so we've talked about gender and age, we've talked a little bit about income, occupation, we're saying a lot might be students, education, sexual orientation, household size, family's life cycle. If you can really drill down to this stuff, it's pretty powerful. And where the likes of tools like Facebook have really come into their own. You know, Facebook has a lot of data on people. So if you were to say to me, I've really thought about this target market, Yvette, like you encouraged me to, and I now know I really want women who are 40 plus, who live in Gympie, who like knitting, who are probably married, who live in this kind of house, and on it goes. You can actually do targeted marketing campaigns on Facebook just to that target market. So it's pretty amazing stuff. Never before have we really had that level of targeted marketing. You know, we might have just advertised in a magazine that lots of sort of women about their age read, but it didn't always mean that we were drilling down into their interests and marital status and age and so on as well. Psychographic, you know, I've got on the screen there someone in a big pair of shoes. So the idea is that you really get inside their heads, or imagine what walking a mile in their shoes would be like. How do they think? What are their attitudes, values, and lifestyles? What are their beliefs? What are their problems in a day? How can you solve those? back to the burger scenario again, because it's just a good thing to keep running with. You know, maybe how they think is, I just want something quick to eat, and I want something cheap, and I want something big because I'm really hungry. That might be as far as it goes, so that's where the burger idea comes in. What are their attitudes, values, and lifestyles? Or maybe when they're young, they're not so worried about diet. Maybe their attitudes and values are that I like that place, so I'm just going back there. They're quite loyal and that kind of thing. So this is just one scenario. You really need to drill down into this for your business as well. Behavioural, what are their behaviours? Do they celebrate occasions? What's their degree of loyalty, as I was just indicating? And product related, what's their association with the product? You know, things like beer and sport go hand in hand in Australia, for instance. So think about what else goes hand in hand, and you can start getting all sorts of strategic alliances on. So I'm curious, knowing all of that, have you defined your target market to that level of detail? And do you think this would be a good exercise to do? Text chat me in what you think. And I'll continue, but I'm looking forward to seeing what you have. Lynn says, yes, it's a great idea. You know, this stuff, guys, is basically working on your business and not in it. And I know it's really hard every day when you're really busy, but here's what I suggest is that you actually take your calendar, because we all have 24 hours and 7 days a week, and just lock out a chunk and go, I'm going to do a debrief on this webinar, and I'm going to really think about my target market if after today that's what you feel you need to do. So going down, Jody said, not as in-depth, great idea as I'm starting up. Some questions I can see there I might answer a bit later. Shauna says, I have ideas about which direction I want to go, so it'll be a big part of my strategy. Absolutely, target market should be a big part of your strategy. Kelly says, I have different targets for my different product types. Thank you for making that comment, Kelly. That's really valid, and you absolutely should. You know, I've dealt with a vet practice, for instance, and they actually had the vet practice, and they would service people with dogs and cats, big section of the population. They also service people with weird and wonderful animals, so that was a smaller part of their market, but certainly part of their market. They also had, they sold pet supplies, so that was a different area of the business, and then they also offered pet grooming. So, you know, their target market for the pet grooming was pet owners within a radius, high disposable income, you know, probably had a pet with long hair, so that's pretty defined, and that was who they were targeting. Whereas the pet in the middle, the pet supplies, that could be anybody, mums and dads who just needed to dash in and dash out and grab some food, or people who even wanted to be loyal to their brand and buy it online. So they were quite different markets, and you certainly should have a look at that. Anna says she has the geography and socio-economic down, but not the rest. So, you know, getting in their heads, that's super powerful stuff. B2B question mark, Richard says, I guess you're asking me, what do you do when it's a business to business? Well, there's still people that you might be targeting within that business. So who is the main people in the business you're targeting? Is it the HR department? Do they tend to be women? Do they tend to be a certain age? Same thing, it's still a target market. And I tell you what, Richard, if you are a B2B business, you can target very, very well on LinkedIn. It's a fantastic social network for that kind of thing. All right, whoops, I've gone forward one without talking about it. Developing your USP. Hands up if you've heard of the saying USP, and you kind of know what it is already. Okay, there's a few hands up, not as many as I thought. USP stands for unique sales proposition. So often I'll say, you know, what makes your business unique? Why should I do business with you when I'm trying to drill down and help a company with their marketing, with attracting new people? And what really irks me is that people say, oh, we've got a quality product. Oh, we've got good customer service. And to me, that stuff is really vanilla, to be honest. Everybody says that. And you know, if you're saying it and your competitor's saying it, how are you any different? So you actually have to drill down, and it can be quite hard to do. You may or may not be able to do it for yourself. You may find that you actually need to ask your customers or ask your staff to help you with this process. So types of questions you could do to get to this point is, what's the one thing that makes your business unique and distinct that no one else can claim, okay? So why should people buy from you and not from your competitors? Are you cheaper? Are you quicker? Do you offer more value for the same price, etc.? Do you promise great value, benefits, or service? Do you have guarantees, warranties? What are the things that annoy or frustrate your customers about your industry that you kind of do differently? And what are the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors? You can use all of these sorts of questions to develop your USP. And at this point, it's worth noting that you've all been issued a workbook as part of this webinar, and there's more tools and tips and exercises in there that will help you develop your USP. This is how you can position your business as different and better, and you should look at it. It's particularly important if you're operating in a very competitive market. Hands up if you think you are operating in a competitive market. Probably some of you are. Sandra, Sasha, Samantha, Rachel, wow, quite a few of you. Lots of hands going up there. Okay. Well, even more important that you get this stuff right and that you work on it. It's not a 5-minute job, sorry guys. It's something you kind of want to do, go away from, come back to, refine, refine, refine. I'd love you to text chat in if you do think you've got a pretty good USP and you'd like to share it with others. Because you think it's really defined and perhaps you've worked hard on it. Michael says he's got unique, handcrafted. That's pretty good. If your competitors aren't offering that, then that's awesome. That's a great USP. Anyone else got one that they'd like to share? Unique products says share. Someone says, Diana says, I'm closer, cheaper, and they get personal attention. So if you're 100% sure your competitors aren't doing that, then sure, that is a USP as well. Gail says, VA with strong real estate experience. I like that, Gail. That is really clear. So I'm pretty sure that'd be pretty attractive to real estate people who don't want to dick around with a VA who doesn't get real estate. Lynn says, I do cakes that are of natural ingredients. That's a great USP because more and more parents are concerned about that, and suitable for children with food intolerances and allergies. So if that is the case, Lynn, that is something you should be screaming from the rooftops. You know, just yesterday I was up in Gympie. I was hungry. I passed a small corner store and it had on their signage, we have dairy and gluten-free food. I was screeching into that car park going, hallelujah, that's what I eat, and I never see this, so I'm going to go in and buy some stuff. So that USP and their marketing worked real well on me. 30-day return policy, no charge for return shipping, says Lani. That's a good one. Neil says, new service in my industry, offer a whole lot more than competitors do and do it better. So all of these are fantastic, people. I love the fact you're so clear. One thing I would encourage you to do is, even though this may be the case now, make sure you keep checking in on your competitors who will be checking in on you, because just because you offer something extra, something different, whatever, they might offer that too, and you may then need to work out a new USP to reposition. So you can do that by mystery shopping them, by getting someone else to mystery shop them, filling in forms on their website, all sorts of things to kind of work out what they're doing, because I guess my point is just what you're making today doesn't mean what they'll be doing tomorrow. Businesses change, and so they should. All right, now on this screen we've got 7 elements that make up the marketing mix, and I want to go through each element. So I guess this is very sort of uni. This has sort of been the principles of marketing for a long time. Let's go through them. So we've got the traditional elements, the 4 Ps, and they are basically products and services. So these are some of the things that you can have to get your marketing mix across. Promotion, the ways that you can do it. Placement, so you know, getting this out there, and price as well. You've got to get the price right, the products and services right, the promotion right, and the distribution channels right in order to be an effective marketer, whatever it is you're doing. Sometimes the price is right, but the distribution isn't right. People don't know how to get it, or they get it slowly, or something like that. Sometimes the promotion is right, everyone hears about it, but the price isn't right. That's what's going to cut them out. So you've kind of got to test and measure all of these elements until you get the right balance going on. So just never rest on your laurels and think you're there. Make sure you can continue to look at them and try them out on target customers, and try them out on segments of customers as well. In terms of positioning, you've really got to think about the people, the process, and the physical evidence as well. So, you know, just this week I met with a financial planning guy. Now, we all know there's lots of financial planners out there, and I was sort of saying to him, why should I come to you or over someone else? What makes you better? Where are you? All of that kind of thing. And I suggested to him that, you know, I've dealt with a company in Melbourne that in terms of financial planning is really trying to hit the Gen X and Gen Y market because they're an emerging market. More and more of them want to buy houses and create wealth, and they're having families. So by positioning as a bit young and funky and appealing to that market, it's a bit of a niche because typically financial services companies don't position like that. So I basically said to him, it doesn't mean that that's what you'll do, but you need to work out what your niche is. You know, you might specialize in women, or you might specialize in, I don't know, financial services for people who are interested in property. There's all sorts of niches and positioning that you can have. But, you know, you kind of don't want to be all things to all people when it comes to marketing, because it'll hit no one. It won't hit a target. So therefore, you'll miss out on lots of market. Now, the other thing about traits of effective advertising and promotions, you as a business owner need to understand this, because whilst you might have contracted an agency like us to do it, you can't always presume that they will fully understand you and your business. So here's a few point checks to look at, say, an ad they've designed you, or a flyer, a campaign, and think about whether you think it'll hit the mark, because you know your customers best. So, you know, number one, what information do you want to convey to your prospects? What's the message? And probably the biggest mistakes I see often done here is people try and convey too much. You know, they have big, long things that they're trying to get across, when really there should be one thing. Don't try and tell them this and that and that and that. What is the main thing that you want them to know? Medium. How are you going to get the message out there? Now, there is TV, there is radio, there is print, there is internet, there is social networks, there is e-marketing, there is SEO. There's so many different marketing mediums, and that's probably where marketing gets a bit tough these days. There's so many blooming options. But remove yourself from all the options and think again like that target market. Where do they hang out? Where do I think I can get to them? And that should be what is guided on your decision. Not because the newspaper rings up and goes, fire sale, have I got a deal for you? You get sucked in and go, right, well, that's all I'll advertise, if that's not where your market hangs out. Okay, moving on to copy and imagery. Very, very important. If you think back to the burgers, if you're going for those young males, imagine the sort of ad you would do and the copy you would use for a 25-year-old male than if you wanted a 6-year-old woman to eat your burgers. Probably very different. You know, the 6-year-old woman, you might be pushing the coffee and cake that you offer at the same place, the 25-year-old, the burger. So different images, different copy. You know, the copy might be to the male, cheapest and biggest burgers in town, if that's the stuff you think they're driven by. The 60-year-old woman, it might be a relaxing place for a coffee with friends, you know, morning tea special or something like that. And then you're getting a bite at both cherries, because, you know, those two different markets probably are looking for service at different times of the day as well. Clear and relevant. There's a thing called WIIFM. Has anyone heard of that? Hands up if you had. It's a radio station I encourage every business owner to tune into. WIIFM basically means what's in it for me. WIIFM. So once you've got some kind of message marketing ready to go, I want you to look at it really analytically. Maybe it's what the creative agency's prepared for you, or a designer, and go, if I was a customer, should I care about this? You need to basically ask yourself the question, so what? So what that you've got cheap burgers? Why should I still come there? Why? So think of all the reasons why, you know, and you get a free Coke. Right, well, that might be the nail in the coffin. And we have a musician playing on this night. Maybe that's what gets them in. So keep on trying to make it clear and relevant. Relevant is the key word there. Enough information, but not too much. So you kind of want to, through marketing, good marketing, creates intrigue and encourages action. You give them enough that they're like, oh, I'm curious, I want to know more, but not too much that they go, oh, I've read all about it, it's not for me type thing. You want them to take action. So that's really important. What do you want them to do once they've read the ad? This amazes me so much when I see marketing or ads and they actually forget to ask. They'll just have a website, but you need to spell it out. Click here for more information, or call us now to access this deal, or read more over here. I'm amazed that more people don't use the call to action for social media, actually, because once they hit that, they can interact and you can build rapport and get them. Then if you send them to a website that's kind of flat often and doesn't interact with them, so I'm a big fan of bringing them through to social media. I'm curious, how many of you are sending your marketing back to social media? Because it can work really, really well. Because I see a lot of TV ads and they're sending them to their website or a phone number, and I think, what about their Facebook page? And then sometimes they just have a little blue F or a little blue T for Twitter, and they don't actually spell what it is, so how are they going to find you? Okay, now I want to show you my way of looking at this. So some of these slides are straight from Queensland Government, but to give you as much value as I can, we've sort of talked about the sales funnel, haven't we, in one way. Well, here's another look at the sales funnel too, and this is my spin on it. Pretty much when it comes to attracting business, we need to get inquiries, so phone calls, emails, or walk-ins, depending on what it is you do. Now, not all of them, but some of them, if you do a good job, will give you their details for future contact, won't they? And that's really valuable. You've built a database or people to market to. Next up, they might be engaged. They'll start opening broadcasts and offers. They'll be interested in them. Doesn't mean they've brought anything, but someone who's on your database and someone who's engaged, the engaged person is, of course, more valuable to you. Next up, they might even refer it. They still haven't brought, but they like it enough, or they know of someone that they think would really like what you have to offer. Next up, we get the sale. Yay, that's where the money is. That's what we really want. And lastly, the repeat business, which is, of course, where the money is really at. Okay, now that's one thing to say, cool, that's a funnel, or I like to call it the cone, because I actually like to call this the ice cream. The biggest challenge for most businesses is, how do I actually get them in the funnel in the first place? This is probably exactly why you got on this webinar today. Well, I've sort of segmented, as you can see on screen there, all these different channels that they can potentially come to you through. This is trademarked to me. I created this. So there's SEM, there's search engine marketing. Now out of that there's SEO and there's PPC. Now out of PPC you can pay to be on Census, you can pay to be on Yahoo, you can pay to be on Google. There's actually others like Bing as well. Through SEO there's directories, there's links. I'm not going to have time to go into each of these, but I do want to describe, and I want to encourage you to look at this and go, right, so if I look at this, what am I already doing? And colour in those that you already are doing, and then look at how many other gaps you've got. And it's like taps. It's like you've turned on the taps of the things you've already tried. How about you go around the ice cream and turn on a few more taps? Now some will produce a little trickle into your funnel, and that's nice. Some will be quite thin. They'll all come from different places, but what starts happening is we're getting different leads from different places, and collectively that means more inquiries, and that means they're there at your door ready for you to work your magic and hopefully make some more sales. So who likes that as an idea, that they need to turn on some taps, and some might produce a trickle and some might produce an absolute stream of business? I don't know which ones will create the stream, to be perfectly honest. Every business is different. The trick is just turning them on, having a go, and you never know what might happen from there. All right, when it comes to marketing, I'm also a massive fan of getting technology working for you. The fact is, we live in a digital age now, and if you aren't using technology, you're probably not working as efficiently or as effectively as you could be, and perhaps as your competitors are. So it's time to get with the program with this stuff, people. First up, we all know, don't we, that we need a memorable website address. Have we all got one of those? Hands up or text in yes. If you are pretty sorted, you've got the website. I think we'd all agree that you kind of can't operate a successful business these days without a website. So hopefully that's a big tick for everyone. The second thing that not every business does, this is a bunch of tips rammed into one slide, is they don't always collect emails. You know, emails is a huge part of the value you're creating in your business. So if I was going to buy your business, I'd probably ask you, how big's your database? And let's say you said, oh, it's 2,000. I'd say, okay, cool. And then I'd probably say second, how active is that database? When was the last time you communicated with them? And if you said, oh, I don't really send anything out, haven't done it for a year, suddenly the value has just gone right down for me. You know, a woman I know in Sydney was part of 3 partners that sold a business they'd started from scratch for $7 million. And a big reason they sold it for that much money was they had 100,000 emails on their database and they regularly communicated with them. So lots and lots of businesses wanted to buy that database. That was valuable to them. So if you're hearing this and going, I've been in business for years, I hardly ever get emails, I'm so devastated because I've only just been told this now, then just start today. I've talked to lots of businesses and this is the case, just start today. Next up, it's one thing to have a good website address, but you of course need to have a website that's well designed and functions well. Hands up if you're 100% sure you've got a good website, it's always producing you leads and so on. Uh-oh, no hands up whatsoever. That is scary. All right, so that's, oh, Shannon's got her hand up, his, it could be a boy or a girl. Thank you, Shannon, good on you for having that. You want to have that, guys. So this is the difference between a cheap website and someone who knows what they're doing and someone who doesn't. It's actually pretty easy to throw a website up these days and it looks okay, but to actually getting it to perform well and producing you regular leads, that can be the difference between why you pay an agency a bit more and invest a bit more time to get it right. And, you know, yes, you might have saved money in the short term by not paying as much or maybe even doing it for free yourself, but how much are you costing your business in the long run by not getting that right? So do consider that. Apart from being designed and functioning well, you obviously want it to work well in the search engines. Again, a good company can help you with that, or with training you may be able to achieve that yourself. There's online advertising, so you should consider that. You need to track your website statistics. Getting autoresponders, automated messages going out and doing regular email broadcasts is a great way to attract new customers. People forward those on, they activate from prospect to customer. They're a fantastic method and relatively cheap to do. Using e-commerce and accepting sales and bookings online, that'll bring new customers in. Hands up those of you who buy online. That's how you like to shop or do business these days. It's easier, isn't it? You can do it late at night, whenever you've got a chance. You can do it on your phone, on the run. So do your customers. So if you're not offering that, that's something you've also really got to get organized, or you're probably missing out on a fair bit of business. Social media. We're actually running a social media free webinar next week. I encourage you to get on Wednesday with Zoe if you'd like to know more about it, but that can attract customers in a big way. The ones who do set up and don't get the results are the ones, in my experience, that don't have a social media strategy, policy, or enough training to really get the thing working. So start with a free webinar next week with Zoe and see what you can get happening. And next up, you can also get new customers by doing online surveys and polls. I'll let you in on a little secret. When I started the business, The Creative Collective, I had no clients. So like any startup, I was scratching my head going, how can I get some business? I actually put up a survey, and no one was doing this stuff then, 2007, so it was a little bit gimmicky. And I basically asked people, do you have a website? Then lots of people didn't. Are you looking to build one? What would you pay? What would you put on it? And I basically used it for my market research, and it also gave me a bunch of leads all in one go. Now, this strategy doesn't always work, but it can work in some scenarios. Another scenario, it was a new sort of workplace where they wanted multiple businesses to move out of home and move into a collaborative workspace. She had no database, she was starting out, so we said, let's run a survey about how Queensland likes to live and work. And we basically asked people questions about whether they were home-based and how big their business was, and would they work out of an office, and did they ever have needs for offices, what facilities did they need, and again, market research. But hey, build a database of 500 people by giving away, from memory, I think, an iPad. So that's quite a cool strategy to get business in the door as well. Who likes the idea of those strategies? Where did we find the respondents for the surveys? Kelly said we leveraged off other people's databases. We said, would you send this out? We did some PR out to media, so running press releases and saying, we're running a survey, we want to know how Queensland likes to live and play, and we'll share the results with you. We did social media shout outs as well. So all things that don't take a lot of money or time to do. All right, getting along, time is ticking, and I want to make sure you've got time for questions. Servicing your customers. So look, we all know, don't we, that customer service is something we need to do, a driving force. When serving customers, what we do is important, but what customers think about what we do is actually critical. I couldn't think of a better way to sum it up and explain it to you than this quote from Gandhi. He was an amazing man, wasn't he? I don't know if we've got any other Gandhi fans out there, but he was talking about patience, but this little quote on the screen actually applies to customers. And it's a good one to remind yourself of if you're having a bad day with a bad customer, or to remind your staff of if they're having a bad week and a bad week with customers. So I'll read it out to you. A customer is the most important visitor on our premises. He is not dependent on us, we are dependent on him. After all, you're not going to have a business without them, are you? He, or she of course, is not an interruption in our work, he is the purpose of it. He is not an outsider in our business, he is part of it. We are not doing him a favour by serving him, he is doing us a favour by giving us an opportunity to do so. Who's seen that one before? Do you like it? What does that make you think when you read that quote? Love to get your feedback on it. I love it myself. No quotes coming through yet. You must be all madly hammering away. Very true, says Jade. Great, says Matthew. Awesome quote. Very apt for everyone in business. Put a spanner in the work dealing with our C customers. Love it. Makes you think very differently. It does, doesn't it? Look, if you love it that much, guys, print it out, put it in a prominent place, bring it up at your next team meeting, or just have it in a place for you to remind you. Judy says, I don't think the customer's always right, but without customers, we don't have a job. That's true, Judy. They always say, don't they? Customers always right. Treat them as if they are. I agree. They're not always. But you do have to just take it on the nose and recognise that, well, without their business, you don't have a business. All right, so moving on in the customer service strategies, there's this concept as well that I'd like to introduce you to, or maybe you already know it, moments of truth. Who's never heard of this before? Hands up if this is a new concept to you. Moments of truth. Okay, a few hands going up. Well, basically a moment of truth, as you can see on screen, is a point in time when the customer comes into contact with the business and forms an impression of its service. You all do this, don't you? Let's say you ring up and you are talking on a customer service call and you feel like you're not getting very good service. That's a moment of truth, isn't it? When you might go, oh my God, I don't like this company, they're blimmin' hopeless. That's a moment of truth in a negative sense. But in the positive sense, if someone sorts it out quickly, efficiently, and you feel like you've heard and that things are going in your favour, that's going to be a positive moment of truth. So in short, you've got to exceed the customer's expectations, be proactive and not reactive, recognise and reward customers who refer other people to you, and you may even want to think of to track all this and kind of get a handle on it, because think of all the interactions you have in a day, in a week, in a year. Getting a CRM, that's a client relationship management system, to track interactions and referrals. Now, there are very expensive and very elaborate CRMs. A CRM could be, when you're starting out, as basic as an Excel spreadsheet or a Google spreadsheet, which is totally free. There are other CRMs. You can go on our website, and on the technology page we list some that are $10 a month, so not going to break the bank, and you might like to have a look at those. But of course you've got to use them. But you can see over here on this wheel, this is just one scenario that I was sort of alluding to. The customer has a reason to call, they find the number, the receptionist answers it, they get put on hold, they talk to a salesperson, they're not the right person, they're put on hold. We've all had this happen, right? Hands up if you've been in this situation where you get passed from pillar to post and it's incredibly frustrating, right? And people, particularly these big organisations, they don't seem to know what's going on, do they? So they put you on hold and then you go to someone else and then you get the information you need and then the call's completed. How do you think you're going to feel about that service if that's the service you have? So, you know, make sure that's not the sort of service they're having with you. I don't know how big your businesses are. Maybe they're quite small and it is you, but make sure it's a good experience. Okay, this next slide is pretty elaborate, but the concept is actually quite simple. Here's a piece of homework I strongly encourage you to do. Again, this is something that the Creative Collective drafted ourselves, and have now shared with Queensland Government. This is the life cycle of a CC client, a Creative Collective client. We sat down and with a big whiteboard with the team, we went, right, how does business flow through our business? What are the touch points? What is the yes, what is the no? What can we do better with our marketing? How do we attract them more? And then how do we look after them once they hit here? So all of you could go away and do this. Some of you will have similar touch points. Some of you will have different ones. So here we go. How do people first hear about us? Well, we do events, we do offline marketing, we do word of mouth, we do media, we do online marketing, or they might just stumble on our website. So here we go, potential client. Hooray, that's what we want. Now, they're either going to log on to the website and fill in a web form, they're going to call us by phone or email to make a relationship, or if they're real keen, maybe they've been referred, they might want work to be done immediately. So we've then decided one of four things will happen. They'll either get an estimate from the phone call, or we'll make a discussion to have an initial paid consult to see what they want and how we can help them more. And our time's valuable, so we do charge for that. The client will get information and they may just think about it from that phone call or the email, or we may even identify that the client's not ideal and we might refer them. So one of those four things will happen. Then from there, we are converting them. So the blue, a paid consult is held, or an estimate is accepted and an invoice is raised. So we've converted that client. All the yellow, they're still just a lead. The blue, they've actually been converted. Then in the green zone, we turn into a project. So for us, we set up a project in Basecamp, we allocate the work to the team completes it, we keep in touch with the customer, the project's completed, but hey, now we've got an opportunity for referral business, so that's the mode we swing into. So using this slide, and yes, all of these are made available to you in the form of a recording, post-webinar, they go up onto YouTube. It takes a few days, we transcribe them and make them nice, and so have a look on the Business QLD Gov YouTube channel for these. But it's a very powerful exercise. You can actually find through doing this for clients where there's gaps, where there's no follow-up, or where there's staff who don't know how to raise an estimate or an invoice, so there's a big bottleneck because just one person's doing it, and you can really improve the flow of a business. So does anyone here think that would be a good exercise to do in their business? Oh, I've just gone through a whole lot of slides at once. Who thinks that could be a really awesome exercise? I highly recommend it, hey, can't recommend it highly enough. Awesome. Okay, just a couple more slides and then I'm going to open it up for questions. Strategies for improving the conversion process. Testimonials. Everyone knows that you're going to say good things about your business. You're going to sell. You're going to say, I'm awesome, you should do business with me. But one of the most powerful forms of marketing is actually having other people say awesome stuff about you and your business. So just last night, I was up running a workshop in Gympie, and I wanted people to sign up for future workshops paid because this was a free one. I actually purposely got 2 locals from Gympie or the region to come and talk about what their experiences of dealing with us have been and the impact we've made on their business. And out of everything I said in that 2 hours, I'd say that if people were going to do it, they probably decided at the point that those people were talking. So highly powerful. You need a system to regularly solicit these and then do something with them. Get them up on your website, ask people to do them on Facebook. There's a great recommendation star system now you can use on Facebook. Get them to put them up on LinkedIn on your company page. They're there for everyone to see. Makes you look really good. No need to hunt around when you really need them as well. Value adding. You know, a client might be really keen, but they just don't feel like they're going to get the value. So what we often do in big proposals is we'll go, this is the work we'll do, here's the price it will cost, and for free, we're going to add some more value. You're also going to get this, that, the other thing, and those things might not actually cost us much money or take very much time, but the perceived value is then significantly increased, and the customer goes, well, the other crowd just offered me the same as what they are, but these guys are giving me all this extra stuff for free, I'll go with them. Another one is risk reversal. So I also call this barriers to sale. Everyone has reasons why they don't want to do business with you or why they don't want to purchase. So you actually need to go through and work out what are the barriers to sale for you. What are the risks that they perceive? Like, let's take the burger scenario again. You know, maybe the risk is that they are too fattening. So maybe in the marketing speak, you can say 99% fat-free if they are. Maybe they are worried that they're not organic beef. So maybe in the marketing say that it is organic beef sourced from local producers only. So suddenly for those people that's important, you've removed all that risk. You've taken out the barriers to sale and they're now still warm. So great exercise to go through and identify all those barriers to sale and then use them as part of your conversion process. So I actually, for my staff, we've done a lot of that kind of phone scripting, and they know the sorts of things that people worry about, and they know what the standard answers are, even if they're quite new. They can look on those. And it's really essential to have knowledgeable and helpful sales staff. We've just looked at that moments of truth. It's horrible, isn't it, when you get a staff member who doesn't know what's going on and how to help you. It's horrible for them. It's horrible for you. So, you know, constant training, constant communication, regular meetings, let everyone know what's going on, even if you think they should know this. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. They're often taking in a lot of information, so share it again. Incentivize staff to convert as well. You know, say if you achieve this target, I'll give you this reward. I'm a big fan of asking them what reward they want. Don't just say it's movie tickets. Say, well, what do you want? A massage, a meal out? Maybe they want cold hard cash. If that's what they want, that's what you should give them. So look, just calculating your conversion rate, total sales, if it was 100 by the conversion rate, let's say 200 sales divided by 800 leads times 100, you've got a 25% conversion rate. So that's how you work it out, and it's a figure you should constantly work out and make sure your staff are empowered to work out as well. Final note, putting ideas into action. So go through and consider, how can I attract new customers? I've actually given you quite a few ideas, not only in the practical promotion, but things to consider in the psychology, the target market, and so on. Prepare an action plan. I encourage you to do it as soon as possible after this webinar. It should have goals, strategies, and actions. See the templates in the workbook that you've been issued with. Update your business plan, because you might actually get a whole lot of new great stuff. If you have a business plan, that should be translated into there. If you're wondering why Bruce Lee is on the screen, he's all about action, that guy. So that's why we put him on the screen when we talk about action plans. So in summary, what have we talked about today? We talked about growing your customer base, using good customer service, conversion, knowing those rates, knowing your flows, knowing your moments of truth, and improving those. And basically after all of that, just put it into action. So Anthony, what time are we at? We probably felt like quite a long webinar. 1:28. We're pretty close to time, but I'll hang around for longer if I need to answer questions. So have we got some questions lined up from people we haven't managed to answer through the session? Because it's been great interaction. Thanks a lot, guys. I've had heaps of fun doing this. First up, we have G+ set up for local search marketing, but it doesn't really seem to be a platform that people are using in regional areas. Can we just leave it set up, or should we still be putting time into the page? Good question. My spin on G+, and it's an evolving opinion because these things do change, is that you certainly should have one. Because if you remember, Google Maps turned into Google Places, which turned into G+ Local. So I would encourage all of you to go to google.com/maps, search your business, see if you're on there. If you are on there, make sure you're being portrayed how you'd want to be portrayed. If there is an About Us section, a description section, add stuff, because it will give you a chance to get seen on Google. Now, even if, like you say, regional people aren't necessarily on G+, and I actually don't know the stats around that to say yes they are or no they're not, people are searching on Google, and that listing will have a chance of performing on Google, so you should certainly look at it on there. The other reason I would do it is people are looking for stuff on their phones, and a lot are using Google Maps and integrations, so you kind of want to have a chance of coming up on there. Look, I am seeing some companies that are very active on G+, 10,000 followers and so on for one company, pretty impressive. I think we're at about a few hundred. We give it some love, but probably not enough ourselves, guilty right here. But I don't know. I need to do more research and reading on that, but I do think it is from a search engine perspective. All right, next one. Converting those who don't feel they need your service, not legislated, not interested in sustainability, how to convert them. All right, well, you guess you got to find a pain point for them. Like I talked about, what are their problems? What do they care about? And if you can put it to them in a way that connects with them, then you can get them fired up. You might need to do a survey on that front to really get to the essence of what does get them fired up, a focus group or something like that. Take the ones who are fired up and find out why they are, and find other people like them. And maybe you're looking for them in the wrong places as well. Maybe they're not online and you're doing all your promotions online. So I guess just go through each of those steps that I've taken you through today and think as analytically as you can, and maybe get more than one head in on it, not just your own. When you're really starting to hit brick walls, it's a good time to workshop. Someone else, do you recommend approaching potential commercial clients in person to spruik about your service or product, or is email enough? We're in pest control. Okay, my spin on spruiking to people is I don't like it being done to me. I don't like people ringing up unsolicited or just turning up at my office, because I'm busy. I want people to appreciate and value my time, and I would like them to treat me with respect. I would prefer that they emailed me first and perhaps followed up with a phone call after in reference to the email. I would prefer that they really got to know me and what my problems are before they sent that through to me. If you're targeting commercial, LinkedIn would be really good, so you can build your connections, but then it's not about spamming them, it's about sending really highly targeted messages. So, you know, you might build a collection of customers, and then you might say, it looks like you are a business in the Maroochydore area. As we're coming into summer, I wonder if you've been thinking about pest control. If you are interested, hearing all these ifs and no hard sell, and a free assessment of what pest control your building may need to have no pest issues in summer, feel free to contact me. So for me, getting that, I could be like, oh, wow, that's really helpful. I do need to get onto that. It's not a hard sell, you should use me, this is who we are. And I'm like, oh, go away. You know, I don't need pest stuff. So do you get the different positioning? It's about being really relevant and respectful. There's my spin on that. Okay, I'm in the security industry. How would you use the email angle? Patrols, alarms, responses, static guards. Okay, so we've got pest control, we've got security. I get it, guys, girls, whoever you are. It's not always a sexy topic. So you need to make it sexy. You need to make it interesting, and there are ways. Look, when it comes to security, everyone is concerned about it. Everybody needs it. Again, it's a way of finding a way that you can do it that they don't feel like it's another thing, that you're actually just trying to be helpful to them. Giving them something for free to get in front of them and build rapport, because, you know, people do business with people they know and they trust. So you need to meet more people. That could be through business networking, could be through Facebook groups. I find some of them very powerful. If they get to know and trust you and like you, people start referring to you without you even having to go and do the hard sell, which is really nice. You know, get known as the security guy who just knows everything about everything and won't rip you off, who will totally help you out. Testimonials of where it was useful and so on. I would be using techniques like that. In terms of email marketing, yeah, you could do it. You might do specials or something. I don't know. I feel like I'd need to workshop that angle a bit more, because it's not a particularly sexy topic to be just emailing out on a regular basis. Wow, lots of questions. I hope you're finding the answers useful and beneficial to all. What if you're a home-based business only selling online and through selected handcrafted markets? What about that, Michael? Specifically, I'm presuming, how do you market? How do you attract new business? I guess if that were me, you know, I started off this whole business I run, all of them really, from home around kids. For me, I actually couldn't go out and network, because in the morning my partner was a builder, he left early, and at night I was so exhausted from young children that I couldn't go out either. The majority of my networking I did online. So LinkedIn, I did Facebook, I built relationships. People say you can't achieve the same stuff online as you can offline. I tend to disagree. It's always nice to take it offline, but you know, last night I've built a fantastic relationship with a woman who I've never met before until last night, all online, and it was so nice to meet her in person. So she willingly gave up her time, drove an hour to be a testimonial for me, which I find just, you know, really awesome. So networking is one suggestion, social media, using that kind of thing to build up your business, getting referrals, testimonials and things as well. Here's someone else. She is in the process of starting a wedding planning business and needs to contact suppliers. How would you go about approaching them, as I would be asking for commission from them? Well, what's in it for them? You know, they're your target market effectively. So if, I guess with a pitch like, I am starting a wedding business, I plan to sell across the Sunshine Coast, how would you like someone acting on your behalf only for a small commission of your sales? Some kind of pitch like that's probably going to be quite attractive to them. So I would be going in on the win-win situation, which is one of the ones that was listed on the thing. Sometimes it's also about asking them and not going in and presuming anything. You know, seeing if you can do a free coffee or a free Skype or Google chat where no one has to leave the office, and just basically saying, tell me about your business, tell me about how things work. But actually what you're doing is selling, because you're grabbing information and then you start taking it back to them like ammo. I saw a really fantastic sales presentation guy, Peter, I can't remember his surname, at an entrepreneur network thing earlier in the year. And geez, it was clever what he was doing. He basically said, selling is old, selling is no more. What you got to do is just be a person, just ask some questions, and then when you've gathered all the information, you pretty much take out all their ammo, because you've asked them every barrier to sale, and then you fire it back and you go, I know you're busy, I know you don't have much money, I know that security is probably the last thing on your mind, but how about, but I'm sure it's still important to you, as you've already said, and then you start selling to them, only once you've gathered all the information. Hope that's a useful technique for you too. Another question, as a non-life essential cost as a photographer, you get a lot of knockbacks on cost. When your product speaks volumes and those clients that do book are super stoked, how would you target getting them to convert based on quality? Well, I'd say that's all about who you pitch. So let's say you are a photographer and you do wedding pics. I didn't actually catch exactly what you do, but you are sort of up at that higher end. You aren't targeting the budget-conscious wedding people. You're not doing the blanket anybody and everybody type thing. You are targeting people who shop on quality. So your ads should say that. It should be a high design, you know, elegant, classy. Any, say, Facebook advertising you did would be going on the quality. Do you want quality photos for your wedding? Do you want no surprises? Do you want photos that you'll love forever? They're the kind of messages you'll be going in, not on the keep your, you know, get your photographer for cheap type thing. It is a process to build value in your brand. One technique I've used that's worked very well for me is applying and winning business awards. I wanted to position myself. Can you imagine how competitive my industry is, marketing, advertising, social media? It's hugely competitive. And they pop up, I say, like mushrooms all the time. There's another expert on the way. But to position as more value and someone who really knows what they're doing, more credibility, I've achieved that through awards. So that's one of my USPs. We're award winning. So yeah, you can pay cheaper, or you want to pay a bit more and go with someone who really knows what they're doing, and not only that, has won awards for their work. So maybe that's something you could try if you want to get that higher sort of caliber of client. Okay, I think we've done the questions. Wow, busy webinar. Thanks, guys. It was heaps of fun. Look, before we wrap up, thanks for staying on. I want to let you know that the Queensland Government has a lot of tools to help you with online marketing, attracting new business. Best protocol is probably business.qld.gov.au. I think Anthony's typing you that website now. They also have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, and a YouTube page. So if you've enjoyed this webinar, would love to host you on future ones. Jump on, make sure that you follow them on Facebook, and you'll be the first to know when when these come out. There's also this tool, the Queensland Government's Business and Industry Portal. You can sign up and get the latest alerts information tailored to your business. So that's a really good idea as well. Before you jump off, I know we've used a bit of your time, and I hope you've got lots of value for giving up your time today. Please, before you log off, we need your feedback. Anthony sent you a survey. It's very short. It won't take you a minute. It is part of our requirement to continue to deliver these webinars to get feedback from you. We want to know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see different next time. So if you could please be so kind as to just take a few moments and send that through, we would be forever grateful. We're going to sign off now. Anthony sent that survey, so hopefully you've clicked on it and are starting to fill in that survey right now. Thank you so much. I've had excellent time today. Tomorrow, 12:30, I know it's a Saturday, a little bit unusual. We've never run one on a Saturday, but we're super excited to do so. We're running a webinar on maximising your website potential. So if you want to improve your website, you better jump on and listen to our fantastic trainer, Paul Bars. You'll love him. He has a huge amount of knowledge and skills. Jump on tomorrow for free, register today, and you'll have a lot of fun with that too. Don't forget to tweet at businessqld.gov, #SmallBizWeek. Tell us what you thought today, and feel free to tweet us as well on @CreativeCollect. We'd love to stay in touch. Thanks all, and have a great weekend.